How to Think Like Michael Burry from The Big Short. Now, if you've watched the film The Big Short, then I can assure you that there's no doubt that you're aware of the pretty fucked up shit that caused the 2008 financial crisis. Now, even though the reasons as to why it happened can be quite technical and confusing, it's crazy to see that in a situation where world economies collapsed and trillions of dollars were wiped out, there was in actual fact some people who were able to profit from all of it. One of these people being hedge fund manager Michael Burry. Now, Michael was able to profit over $700 million during the 2008 financial crisis. And in this video, what I'm going to be showing you is the exact strategy that he used to do it. Now, don't get scared. The strategy that I'm going to highlight isn't just specific to investing. You can easily apply the strategy to many other areas of life. One of them definitely being in the world of business. Now, in the year 2000, at just the age of 37, Michael Burry started Scion Capital, a hedge fund that would go on to consistently outperform the S&P 500 year after year. And by the end of 2004, his fund was managing just over $600 million. So it's quite an understatement to say that the guy knew a thing or two about investing. But it wasn't until the year 2005 to where Michael would start to focus on the trade that would change his entire life. Now, not to get too technical here, but after a deep analysis of the subprime market, Michael realised something that hardly no one else saw. What he identified was that the mortgage-backed securities that investment banks were creating for people in order for them to invest in, which many were given supposed strong stamps of approval by reputable rating agencies, were in actual fact actually backed by very shitty loans, adjustable rated loans to people who didn't have very good credit scores, and many of who were behind on their repayments. What he realised was that once these adjustable interest rates on these loans kicked in, many of these homeowners wouldn't be able to afford the repayments, resulting to them defaulting on their loans, to which in essence would result in the whole bond to be worthless. After this whole analysis, this is what led Michael to the whole idea of shorting and betting against these shitty mortgage bonds by buying a staggering amount of credit default swaps, to which the majority of people laughed at him for. The investment alone would cost nearly $90 million in premiums a year in order to just maintain his short position, which undoubtedly pissed off a lot of his investors at his hedge fund because they didn't see the rationale behind it. But the thing that Michael understood was that he was playing the long game. And this is where the 12th strategy of war comes into play. Lose battles, but win the war. The grand strategy. Everyone around you is a strategist, angling for power, all trying to promote their own interests, often at your own expense. Your daily battles with them make you lose sight of the only thing that really matters, which is victory in the end, the achievement of greater goals and lasting power. Grand strategy is the art of looking beyond the battle and calculating ahead. It requires that you focus on your ultimate goal and plot to reach it. In grand strategy, you consider the political ramifications and long-term consequences of what you do. Instead of reacting emotionally to people, you take control and make your actions more dimensional, subtle and effective. Let others get caught up in the twists and turns of the battle, relishing their little victories. Grand strategy will bring you the ultimate reward, i.e. the last laugh. And this is the exact strategy that Michael used in order to beat the market. When Michael proposed the idea of shorting mortgage-backed securities, it's understandable as to why people thought he was crazy. Mortgage-backed securities weren't seen as crazy investments at all. They were more so seen as sound investments, and a lot of people were making a lot of money from it. So why the hell would this one man want to bet against it? Well, the fact of the matter was, while everyone else was just seeing what was in front of them, what Michael was able to do was zoom out and see what was ahead of him. He was able to climb up the mountaintop and see where the world was going, not where the world was currently at. And this is one of the strongest attributes that will contribute to your success as either an investor or as an entrepreneur. The ability to zoom out and see the things that other people can't see. Nothing in life happens in isolation. Everything is more or less related and has a broader context. And this is the key principle that led to Michael's success, because he utilized the principle of grand strategy. The whole foundation of grand strategy is to not look at what's in front of you, but it's to look as to what is beyond the moment, beyond your immediate battles and concerns. You don't just concentrate on what's in front of you, but instead, you focus more so on what is down the line. Individual battles matter only in the way they set up the next ones down the line. I mean, a successful army in general can even deliberately lose a battle as part of a long-term plan. Your task as a grand strategist is to extend your vision in all directions, not only looking further into the future, but also seeing more of the world around you, more than your enemy does. I mean, Michael was laughed at by loads of different people, and there was even a point where his own investors turned on him. But after all the stress and turmoil he went through, he was the one that eventually got the last laugh in the end. So I know you may be thinking, how can you exactly do that? How exactly can you utilize the grand strategy? Well, the first step is that you need to be patient enough to plot several steps ahead, to wage a campaign instead of fighting battles. A campaign is where you set yourself a realistic goal and plot several steps ahead to get there. The path to your goal may be indirect. Your actions may seem strange to other people, but so much the better. The less they understand you, the easier they are to deceive, manipulate and seduce. It's not the failure of a battle that should concern you, but it's the victory of the overall campaign that matters, and everything else should be subordinated to that goal. As a clever strategist like Michael, you need to think deeply in all directions before launching any type of campaign. In a world where people are increasingly incapable of thinking consequentially, where people are more animalistic than ever, the practice of grand strategy will instantly elevate you above others. And to aid you even further, I'm going to cover two main tactics that you can use in order for you to contribute to your use of grand strategy. The first tactic is to widen your perspective on things. Grand strategy is a function of vision, of seeing further in time and space than the enemy does. Your task is to force yourself to widen your view, to take in more of the world around you, to see things for not what you wish them to be, but for what they are, and for how they may play out in the future. What you need to understand is that every event has a reason, a causal chain of relationships that made it happen. You have to dig deep into reality, instead of seeing only the surface of things. The closer you get to objectivity, the better your strategies and the easier the path to your goal. This widened perspective is what aroused Michael's suspicion regarding the true value of the mortgage bonds, which led him down the road to investigate them further. And the second tactic that this leads me to is to sever the roots. As a grand strategist, you must expand your vision, not only far and wide, but also under. Think hard and dig deep. Do not take appearances for reality. Uncover the roots of the trouble, and you can strategize to sever them, ending the war or problem with finality. And combining these two tactics, this is essentially how Michael was able to spot the discrepancies in the mortgage bonds. I mean, nobody would have ever thought to look through each and every single mortgage in a bond. I mean, they were all AAA rated, right? I mean, that's what the rating agencies were saying, so they must be fine, right? But in reality, this action right here, for seeing things for what they actually were, was what allowed Michael to conclude that the bonds had the potential to go to zero. This is what I mean regarding using the grand strategy, and you can clearly see the power of what utilizing it does. By casting your vision in all directions, you will bring the war to arenas where your enemies have ignored, catching them by surprise. It's about seeing dangers or opportunities as soon as they start to sprout, and jumping on them or cutting them down before anyone else notices. What sets grand strategists apart is the ability to look more deeply into both themselves and others, to understand and learn from the past, and to have a clear sense of the future to the extent that it can be predicted. Simply, they see more, and their extended vision lets them carry out plans over long periods of time, so long that those around you may not even realize that you have a plan in mind. What you want to do is strike at the root of the problem, not at its symptoms, and hit the mark cleanly. Not only does this kind of planning disorient the enemy, but it also will grant you a psychological effect. You'll experience a sense of calm, a sense of perspective, and experience flexibility to change in the moment, while keeping the ultimate goal in mind. Down on the battlefield, everything is smoke and confusion. It's hard to tell friend from foe, to see who is winning and to foresee the enemy's next move. The general must climb high above the fray to the mountaintop, where everything becomes clearer and more in focus. There, one can see beyond the battlefield, to the movements of reserves, to the enemy camp, to the battle's future shape. Only from the mountaintop can the general direct the war. And that's how to think like Michael Burry from The Big Short. By utilizing the grand strategy of not worrying about losing battles, but ultimately focusing on winning the war. And the way you do this is by elevating and widening your perspective. Don't just plan on just for what you see in the present, but zoom out and plan several steps ahead. Focus and dig deep to the core root of the problem, and that's where you can ultimately formulate a powerful plan with the future in mind. And that's what's going to grant you more power in your life and in the world of business. Now, like with all character breakdowns I do on the channel, I try to focus on what powerful strategies and principles that we can learn from these characters in order to be able to think that bit more strategically, whether that's in life or business. And if you are interested in learning more about these strategic strategies and principles I cover, then make sure you click the link in the description to sign up for our newsletter. I mean, I always get asked to go much deeper into more principles and strategies, but there is only so much I can talk about in just one YouTube video. That's why for a nearly whole year now, I've been non-stop working on something that is going to absolutely blow you away. I mean, you think you learn a lot from the character breakdowns that I do now? Well, think again, because when I launch what I've been working on for you, I can tell you it is going to put you on that journey to becoming that master strategic thinker that you've always wanted to be. So if you are interested in what I've been working on, make sure you click the link in the description to sign up for our newsletter, as I will be announcing something on there much sooner than you think. And if you like this video, make sure you smash that like button and leave a comment below on what your thoughts and feelings are about Michael Burry. Comment some of your favourite lessons and quotes from him, and let me know what character breakdowns would you like to see next. And if you are new to the channel, welcome to the channel, and to all our loyal subscribers, we are glad you are here. We do some of the best character breakdowns on the whole of YouTube, and we aim to produce at least one high quality animated video per week. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any golden knowledge. I'll see you soon.